coaching and talking a lot about women in their 40s. That's a lot of my clients because that's what I am, right? So a lot of people go to a therapist who's a similar age, stage, gender as them. So I've written a lot about this, and it's since it resonates with people, I do more and more. Also helping men understand their wives at this age is big, because this is perimenopause, and this is the time where hormones change, priorities change, your body and brain is changing a lot compared to where it was when you were in the young mother stage. In the young mother stage, you're prioritizing somebody over yourself all the time. Then your kids get older, your hormones shift, and you don't necessarily want to do all of that caretaking. And even when women have children later in life, they still don't want to do all that caretaking as they get into their 40s. It's kind of it's a switch, and the estrogen drops, and that's the yes honey hormone, and women start having less fucks, as they call it, right? And this is a common phenomenon, is that the guy says, wasn't like she seemed that interested in me, whether it's sexually or whatever. That's not to say that you can't have the honeymoon stage. Those first few years, certainly if you meet somebody in your 40s, you're still going to have the honeymoon stage. But within a long-term relationship, women start to seem different in their 40s after their 30s and their 20s. And of course, that just makes sense, right? They're going to be different in their 50s and their 60s. And you know what? Men are different at all stages too. But it's not as dramatic, because for a lot of women, there is a real kind of a biological... So men's, testosterone goes kind of like that, and for women is, kind of like that for things, for estrogen, etc. And that makes sense, that then there would be a much more precipitous change in personality. So if any of you guys have any questions, you could certainly comment and ask anything that you want. You should all be following the Dr. Psych Bomb Show on Spotify, Google, Apple, everywhere. And I talk about this a lot. This is a lot of the couples that I work with are in midlife, whether that's 40s, 50s, whatever. And it's a big time. I have a podcast on midlife crisis, and then I have a podcast on midlife crisis in women. So I have like all this stuff on midlife, because this is a time where people say, what is the meaning of everything? What's my legacy? How do I want to be known? What's really important to me? Am I living the life that I want to live? Because it's finite. In midlife, you really know that life is finite. You know that there may be less ahead of you than there was until now. So at that point, people frequently have epiphanies. They're like, I don't want to be in this bad marriage anymore, or I don't want to be in this career that I hate anymore, or whatever the case may be. So if you guys are watching, please say hello, send likes, send loves, etc. If you want more interaction with me and smart people, even a very small paywall of $4.99 in my secret group keeps out the trolls, and there's lots of interesting discussion in there. Most people are around midlife when I think about it, although it is a range. Hi, Blake. Hello, Blake. I know Blake. And if I know you, anybody else who's following, then say hello. These are so much more fun when people ask questions, but can't get everything you want all the time. But yeah, midlife is a big transition point psychologically. We go from the stage of intimacy versus isolation to generativity versus stagnation. I think I could Google that afterwards. I did a podcast on it. Those are Erickson stages. It's just a different vibe, it's a different stage of life. People start to really think about the deeper meaning underlying their actions. Their kids get to be a stage where the kids are looking at them for like how to shape their life philosophy. It's very different than parenting a toddler. So it forces you to think like, what kind of role model am I? What kind of role model is this relationship? Like, how do I engage in the world? Am I proud of it? If I died tomorrow, what would I feel about right now? And those are totally normal things to be talking about with a therapist, or to be, thinking about on your own. Every stage is not meant to have similar goals. You know what I mean? The goal of your young adult years is to figure out a career, a partner, a family, etc. I don't know what's happening here. I'm sure my computer will die right in time for me having a client. Isn't that always the way? But But yeah, so it's not, every stage is not supposed to be equivalent. In old age is different too. People need to make meaning of the entire trajectory of their life if they don't want to be depressed. You know, they want to think, do I feel more proud of things or do I regret things? This is a lot of deep work that happens. And a lot of times people are like, well, I was in therapy in my 20s. That has nothing to do with anything, you know? Like therapy that you did in your 20s, you mean before you had kids, before you got married? You're a different person, you know? I mean, that's nice that that therapy helped you at that time, but you're not struggling with the same things. I mean, some of them you may be, you know, but not most of them. You're a totally different person then. So sometimes women in particular will say, oh, I worked through that stuff early on, because women are more likely to go into therapy, but they're struggling with things related to all of the issues brought up by being a mom. So the therapy you do in your 20s doesn't have to do with like what's going to come up and be triggered by you literally becoming a different person called a parent. Like it's completely different. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Send your likes and your loves. I hope I see some of you in the secret group, the blue subscribe button, or there's a pinned post with a direct link. And I hope you're all listening to the Dr. Psych Mom show. And if you ever need a therapist or a coach, reach out to Best Life Behavioral Health. We're out of network, but we have great people. And everybody can't work with me directly. So I have many, many wonderful people. I only hire people that I like, and I don't like everybody. So, you know. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.